When you withdraw, everything changes. Her reaction isn't solely due to your absence, but also the emptiness left behind. A significant man's disappearance creates a silence more impactful than words. She experiences unforeseen emotions, reshaping her view of you permanently. We'll explore the 8 intense emotions she navigates after your vanishing act. These are not superficial feelings, they are profound, transformative realizations, changing how she perceives you. Section 1. The shock of silence. Her initial reaction to your disappearance is intense shock, a deep, pervasive understanding that her life has unexpectedly changed. It's a moment of heavy air and unsettling quiet. Your presence was more than she perhaps acknowledged, it was a reliance woven into her life. Think of her daily routines, the glow of her phone lighting up with your messages, your name in her notifications, the quiet anticipation of your next text or call. Now, all of it is gone. The silence is deafening, stripping away the connection, validation, and attention she had grown to rely on. At first, she may dismiss the absence, assuming you're just busy or caught up with something. But as hours turn into days, reality begins to sink in. You're truly gone. It's an unsettling realization, one she wasn't ready for. That silence becomes symbolic of your importance, a void that highlights how much she depended on you, even if she didn't realize it before. This shock disrupts her entire sense of stability. Suddenly, her world feels off balance, as if something essential is missing. Distractions offer no relief because the absence lingers, undeniable and persistent. Every silent notification and empty moment sharpens the awareness of what she's lost. This profound shock disrupts her sense of normal. Her world feels unsteady and uncertain. Distractions fail as the void you left remains. Every silent notification, every passing moment without you, intensifies the shock. It's a persistent jolt, forcing her to confront the truth. You're gone, and she wasn't prepared. Section 2. The rise of doubt. After the intense craving for validation, an even more disquieting emotion surfaces: doubt. This stage marks the beginning of a mental spiral where her emotional foundation starts to crack. Your absence forces her to question everything: her choices, actions, and even the nature of the relationship itself. Doubt creeps in like a shadow, casting uncertainty over moments she once considered certain. She replays past conversations in excruciating detail, trying to identify the moment things went wrong. Questions flood her mind, relentless and unsettling. Did I push him away? Was I too clingy? Did I not care enough? Was it something I said? These thoughts loop endlessly, stripping her of the confidence she once had. This doubt isn't limited to her actions, it extends to her understanding of the relationship. She begins to wonder if she ever truly grasped its dynamics. Was her perception of your connection accurate, or did she misinterpret it? Did she overestimate her influence, or was she blind to signs she should have seen? These questions aren't just painful, they're destabilizing. She also reflects on missed opportunities, moments where she could have been more vulnerable, communicated more openly, or supported you better. The realization that she might have contributed to your withdrawal is both humbling and distressing. Yet, without your presence to offer clarity or closure, these thoughts linger unresolved, feeding a growing sense of helplessness. The longer your silence continues, the deeper her doubt becomes. It begins to erode her self-esteem, making her question her worth and her ability to maintain meaningful relationships. She feels trapped in a mental maze, unable to find answers or escape the gnawing insecurity your absence has triggered. What makes doubt particularly cruel is its ability to twist her perception of reality. Every memory, every moment with you, is scrutinized under its harsh light, transforming once cherished experiences into sources of confusion and regret. The desire for resolution becomes overwhelming, but your continued distance denies her the clarity she desperately seeks, leaving her lost in a fog of unanswered questions and mounting self-doubt. Section 3. The feeling of rejection. Rejection is one of the most painful emotions a person can experience, and your disappearance delivers it with a piercing intensity. Unlike a mutual fading or gradual drifting apart, your absence feels deliberate, a conscious choice to leave her life. This realization strikes deep, leading her to interpret it as a personal rejection. Why wasn't I good enough for him to stay? What did I do wrong? These questions loop endlessly in her mind, feeding an emotional storm of doubt and insecurity. Rejection feels deeply personal. It doesn't matter if there were imperfections in the relationship or unresolved issues. Your departure leaves her feeling as though she, as a person, wasn't enough. The very act of your withdrawal seems like an unspoken judgment, and without clarification, she begins to fill in the blanks with her own fears and insecurities. She sees your absence as an indictment of her flaws, a stark confirmation of her worst doubts about herself. This feeling of rejection taps into a primal human fear, the fear of being unloved, unwanted, and unworthy. Your silence amplifies these feelings, creating a deafening void where her confidence once stood. Every unanswered question, every moment of unspoken closure, reinforces the belief that she wasn't worth staying for. Paradoxically, rejection also motivates. The sting of feeling discarded sparks a fierce desire to reclaim what was lost. She might take active steps to reconnect, intensifying her efforts to get your attention. This could manifest as subtle attempts to draw you back, liking your old photos, sending casual messages, or showcasing a more polished, improved version of herself. It's not just about proving her worth to you, it's about silencing the internal narrative that says she wasn't good enough. Despite the pain, rejection drives action. It awakens her to the parts of herself she feels need validation, pushing her to address what she perceives as shortcomings. She may find herself reflecting deeply on the relationship, replaying every interaction in an effort to pinpoint where she went wrong or what she could have done differently. This process is emotionally exhausting, but also transformative, forcing her to confront her vulnerabilities and insecurities head-on. The feeling of rejection becomes a catalyst for change, though it comes at a heavy emotional cost. While she battles feelings of inadequacy and unworthiness, she also begins to seek answers, resolution, and a way to rebuild her sense of self-worth. Whether her attempts to re-establish contact with you are successful or not, the rejection you've imposed leaves an indelible mark, shaping how she views herself and her future relationships. Section 4. The guilt that follows. After grappling with rejection, a new and equally taxing emotion takes hold. Guilt. It's a powerful, self-imposed burden, convincing her that your disappearance is her fault. Even when the circumstances of the relationship don't point directly to her, guilt has a way of twisting her perception, making her believe she had more influence over your decision to leave than she actually did. She begins to question herself relentlessly. What could I have done differently? Should I have been more supportive? Did I push him away without realizing it? These thoughts loop endlessly as she searches for clues in every past interaction, desperately trying to identify her perceived mistakes. She replays conversations in painstaking detail, wondering if a single word, tone, or action was the breaking point. This guilt becomes all-consuming, overshadowing even the pain of your absence. It's no longer just about losing you. It's about her belief that she played an active role in driving you away. The burden of responsibility she feels makes it hard to focus on anything else, and the weight of self-blame begins to erode her self-esteem. Guilt's true power lies in its ability to force self-confrontation. Under its influence, her confidence in having done everything right collapses. She begins to see flaws in her behavior, moments when she could have been more open, less guarded, or more attuned to your needs. These realizations are painful, as guilt casts a harsh light on missed opportunities for connection. This emotional struggle drives her to imagine scenarios where she could make amends, prove her growth, or show you that things could be different. She feels an overwhelming urge to apologize, to fix what she believes she broke. Yet your absence leaves no avenue for resolution. Without the opportunity to seek forgiveness or offer explanations, her guilt lingers, festering and growing heavier with time. This internal turmoil isn't just about the past, it begins to shape her outlook on future relationships. She questions her ability to maintain meaningful connections, fearing that she'll repeat the same mistakes. Her guilt transforms into a powerful motivator for change, but it also becomes a barrier, making her hesitant to trust herself or others. In the end, Guilt doesn't just make her reflect on what went wrong, it forces her to reevaluate who she is and how she approaches relationships. While this can lead to personal growth, it also leaves her emotionally raw and vulnerable, grappling with a self-imposed responsibility for your absence that may not entirely be hers to bear. Section 5. The craving for validation. As the initial shock of your absence fades, it gives way to a deeper, more consuming emotion, the craving for validation. This isn't a fleeting or casual feeling, it's a relentless need to reaffirm her significance in your life, a desperate quest to understand where she stands in your thoughts and feelings. Your presence once provided her with an unspoken sense of importance. Every text, call, or moment you dedicated to her communicated her value. She may not have consciously realized how much she relied on this until it was gone. With your sudden silence, that source of validation is abruptly stripped away, leaving behind nagging questions. Did I truly matter to him? Was I special, or just another option? These doubts swirl in her mind, creating an emotional void that feels impossible to fill. In her search for answers, she becomes increasingly fixated on your actions, or the lack thereof. She might find herself obsessively checking her phone, hoping for a missed call or message that signals she still holds a place in your life. Social media becomes a source of both hope and anguish as she searches for signs of your activity, clinging to even the smallest clue that you still care. This search isn't solely about you. It's also a way for her to reclaim a sense of self-worth that feels diminished by your absence. As time passes, the craving for validation intensifies. Subtle attempts to re-establish a connection, liking an old photo, sending a casual message, or even posting content designed to catch your attention, become her way of testing the waters. Each unanswered attempt, however, amplifies her self-doubt, transforming what was once a quiet need for reassurance into a desperate plea for acknowledgement. This craving for validation extends far beyond her relationship with you. It reflects a deeper, universal need to feel valued, impactful, and significant. Your silence forces her to confront unsettling questions not just about her role in your life, but also about her identity. What does this say about me? Am I not worthy of his time, his attention, his care? These thoughts dig deep, shaking the foundation of her confidence. What makes this stage so challenging is its unrelenting nature. The craving for validation doesn't fade quietly. It grows louder and more insistent the longer it goes unanswered. Each passing day of silence feels like a confirmation of her worst fears, creating a powerful emotional storm she can't easily ignore. This phase of craving isn't just about seeking validation from you, it's about a battle within herself. It's a struggle to redefine her sense of worth in the absence of your presence, to rebuild her confidence and to find a way to feel significant on her own terms. But until she can break free from the grip of this craving, the void left by your absence remains a persistent source of pain. Section 6. The fear of being replaced. With guilt firmly rooted, another powerful emotion emerges, the fear of being replaced. This is one of the most intense and distressing feelings she experiences after your disappearance. The thought of someone else stepping into her place, whether it's a romantic interest, a new passion, or even a reinvigorated sense of independence on your part, gnaws at her constantly. This fear stems from a fundamental human need to feel irreplaceable. In your relationship, she likely felt unique, cherished, and special. Your sudden absence disrupts this belief, leaving her questioning her significance in your life. The unsettling thought arises, if I was so important, how could he leave? What's stopping him from finding someone else? These questions create a cycle of anxiety and insecurity. Her fear of being replaced often compels her to search for evidence. She might obsessively check your social media, looking for clues that someone new has captured your attention. A photo, a comment, or even a hint of happiness in your life without her can feel like a dagger, reinforcing her worst fear. You've moved on and found someone better. This fear isn't limited to jealousy of another person. It's also tied to her sense of self-worth. The idea that someone else could easily occupy the space she once held forces her to confront uncomfortable questions. Was I not good enough? Did I fail to meet his needs? What does she have that I don't? These doubts take a heavy toll, eroding her confidence and leaving her trapped in a loop of comparison and self-criticism. The fear of being replaced creates an urgency within her, a desperate desire to reclaim your attention and reaffirm her place in your life. She might fantasize about ways to win you back, striving to remind you of the connection you shared. Yet your continued absence deepens her sense of vulnerability, feeding the belief that you've already moved on without her. Ironically, this fear can also provoke feelings of anger or resentment. The thought of someone else enjoying the affection, care, and attention you once gave her feels unjust and painful. It shifts her perspective, turning your absence from a personal loss into a perceived betrayal. Ultimately, the fear of being replaced isn't just about you, it's about her own insecurities and the emotional void your departure created. While this fear can motivate her to reflect and grow, it also leaves her battling an overwhelming sense of inadequacy and a haunting uncertainty about her value in your life and the lives of others. Section 7. Regret. Regret, rooted in the unchangeable past, is one of the most agonizing emotions she faces. As the fear of replacement deepens, regret emerges as a haunting companion. It's a longing to undo mistakes, to rewrite moments, to act in ways that might have prevented your departure. This unfulfilled desire to turn back time forces her to critically re-evaluate the relationship, leaving her immersed in a sea of what-ifs. She wishes she had been more present, more understanding, and more vulnerable. Missed opportunities loom large, and past mistakes feel magnified in the shadow of your absence. She asks herself, "Why didn't I see this coming? Why didn't I appreciate him more? Why didn't I show him how much he meant to me while I had the chance?" These questions echo relentlessly, amplifying her regret and the accompanying sense of helplessness. Regret also brings with it a deep sense of longing. It's not just the big moments she misses, but the little things, your laughter, your quirks, the way you made her feel safe and valued. Memories of shared experiences transform into bittersweet reminders of what she has lost. What once brought her joy now feels like a source of sorrow, a painful reminder of a connection she can no longer access. This longing reinforces the sting of regret as she realizes how unique and special your bond was. She laments not fully cherishing it in the moment and fears that she'll never find anything quite like it again. The awareness of what could have been, contrasted against the reality of what is, becomes almost unbearable. The cruelest aspect of regret is its isolating nature. She is trapped in a prison of her own thoughts, endlessly replaying conversations and moments, searching for the elusive thing she could have done differently. Your absence denies her any chance for resolution, closure, or even the opportunity to express these feelings. Without the ability to discuss, apologize, or seek understanding, regret festers, growing heavier with time. Yet regret is also a teacher. It forces her to confront not only her actions, but also her deeper fears and insecurities. Through this reflection, she may come to understand herself better, identifying the patterns or behaviors she wants to change. However, the path to this growth is fraught with pain, as she wrestles with the knowledge that she can never undo the past. In the end, regret isn't just about losing you, it's about losing the chance to show up as the person she wishes she had been. It's a bittersweet realization of how deeply she valued your presence, and how much she wishes she had conveyed that while she still had the chance. Section 8. Growth. The final stage of her emotional journey is growth, a transformative phase that arises after she has endured the pain, reflection, and acceptance of your absence. What once felt like an unbearable loss begins to evolve into a valuable lesson, reshaping how she understands herself, relationships, and her own capacity for resilience. Growth doesn't come easily. It's the result of navigating the storm of emotions that preceded it. Your disappearance, while painful, compels her to examine her role in the relationship and confront her deeper fears and insecurities. This process brings about a heightened sense of self-awareness. She begins to see patterns in her behavior, areas where she might have been too guarded, too passive, or too unaware of the value of those around her. As she reflects, her perspective on relationships shifts. She gains clarity on what she truly desires in a partner and how she wants to show up in future connections. The pain of your absence teaches her the importance of expressing gratitude, being present, and cherishing the people in her life while she has the chance. These lessons become the foundation for her personal growth. Growth is a powerful phase because it signifies rebuilding. She starts to reframe her experience, seeing it not as the end of something, but as a turning point, a catalyst for becoming a stronger, more self-aware version of herself. She applies these insights to future relationships, approaching them with greater attentiveness, appreciation, and emotional intelligence. This stage doesn't mean she forgets the pain or completely lets go of what she felt for you. Growth isn't about erasure, it's about transformation. The emotions she experienced are not wasted, but instead repurposed into a source of strength and wisdom. The void left by your absence becomes a space for something new, greater self-respect, healthier boundaries, and a clearer understanding of her worth. Your disappearance, while deeply painful, becomes a meaningful part of her story. It's no longer just a loss. It's a pivotal moment that leads to positive change. This growth allows her to carry forward not just the lessons learned from your relationship, but also a deeper appreciation for herself and the life she wants to create. Ultimately, her journey of growth marks the beginning of a new chapter. Though she may carry the memory of your connection, it serves as a reminder of her resilience and capacity to rise from adversity. In this stage, she transforms her pain into purpose, shaping a future built on strength, self-awareness, and the wisdom that only comes from enduring heartbreak. Explore psychology behind. Why does she only feel empty and start noticing you when you start pulling away from her? When you start to pull away, something unexpected often happens. She begins to notice you in a way she didn't before. This phenomenon is not unusual, and it reveals deeper psychological and emotional dynamics within relationships. It's not merely about your physical absence, but rather the emotional space it creates that forces her to confront feelings she may have suppressed or taken for granted. One of the reasons she feels empty when you distance yourself is the loss of emotional security. Whether consciously or not, your presence provided her with a sense of stability and significance. You were a part of her routine, someone who made her feel seen and valued. When you begin to pull away, that stability is disrupted. Suddenly, the attention, validation, and connection she once felt are no longer there. This absence creates a void that's hard to ignore, and in this emptiness she starts to realize just how much your presence meant to her. The things she once overlooked, your texts, calls, or even the small gestures, become glaringly absent, making her acutely aware of the role you played in her life. Moreover, when someone pulls away, it often triggers feelings of self-doubt and insecurity. She might start questioning herself, wondering if she did something wrong or failed to meet your expectations. These questions fuel introspection, and in that process she may come to understand the depth of her reliance on you for emotional affirmation. This doesn't mean she was consciously using you for validation, but your presence reassured her on a deeper level, providing comfort and a sense of being valued. When that is removed, she is left to grapple with her own fears of inadequacy and rejection. Another critical factor is the psychological concept of scarcity. People tend to value what they can't have or what they fear losing. When you were readily available, it was easy for her to overlook your importance because she didn't have to fight for your attention or presence. Your withdrawal changes the dynamic. It introduces an element of uncertainty, which forces her to reevaluate the relationship and your significance in her life. Suddenly, what she once took for granted becomes something she fears losing entirely, and that fear of loss amplifies her emotions toward you. This shift also highlights how familiarity can sometimes lead to complacency. When someone is consistently present, it's easy to fall into a pattern where their contributions to your life blend into the background. It's not that she didn't care, it's that the comfort of your consistent presence allowed her to feel secure without actively acknowledging its value. However, when you step back, that sense of comfort is replaced with a stark awareness of your absence. It's in this absence that she begins to reflect on what you brought to her life and how different things feel without you. Additionally, the process of your withdrawal creates a mirror for her own emotional state. As you distance yourself, she is forced to confront feelings she may have suppressed, feelings of attachment, vulnerability, and even fear. In some cases, she might not have fully realized how much she cared for you until she sensed the possibility of losing you. Your withdrawal acts as a wake-up call, pulling those buried emotions to the surface and making her reevaluate her priorities. The sense of emptiness she feels also stems from a loss of connection. Humans are wired for connection and belonging, and losing a meaningful bond can feel like losing a part of oneself. When you were actively involved in her life, that connection fulfilled a deep emotional need. Your absence, however, disrupts this connection, leaving her feeling isolated and unsure of how to fill the gap. This isolation not only creates a sense of emptiness, but also triggers a longing to restore the relationship. Your decision to pull away doesn't just affect her emotionally, it also forces her to reassess the dynamic of the relationship. She may start to see things she hadn't noticed before, both about you and about herself. This period of reflection often leads to a deeper understanding of what she values and what she might have overlooked. In this sense, your distance serves as a catalyst for her growth, pushing her to confront uncomfortable truths and learn from the experience. Lastly, the emptiness she feels isn't just about you, it's also about her. Your withdrawal highlights areas of her life where she may have been overly dependent on external validation or comfort. While this realization can be painful, it also offers her an opportunity to grow emotionally and develop a stronger sense of self. Over time, she may come to appreciate the lessons learned from your distance, even if they were difficult to face. In conclusion, when you begin to pull away, it forces her to confront a range of emotions she might not have experienced otherwise. From feelings of emptiness and insecurity to the realization of your importance, your absence becomes a powerful mirror reflecting the depth of her feelings. This process, while painful, often leads to a greater appreciation of the connection you shared and may even prompt her to make changes in how she approaches relationships moving forward. The emptiness she feels and the attention she begins to give you stem not just from the loss itself, but from a deeper recognition of the value you brought to her life. Understanding the 8 emotions she experiences when you disappear is key to learning what truly impacts her heart and mind. Now, if you're ready to take this knowledge and use it to create a deeper, more meaningful connection, let's dive into the next topic. 10 simple tricks to make her fall in love with you fast. These actionable tips will show you how to captivate her and build a bond that lasts. If you're enjoying this content, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss these powerful insights. 10 simple tricks to make her fall in love with you fast. Ever wondered what it really takes to make her fall head over heels for you, and fast? Forget the typical dating advice and dive into these 10 simple but powerful tricks that most guys overlook. We're not talking about cheesy pickup lines or cliché compliments. These are psychological techniques that tap into deeper desires, the things she might not even realize she's craving. And guess what? There's one tactic in particular that involves creating just the right amount of tension. One trick alone increased romantic interest by 78% in a university study. Stick around, because you don't want to miss what's coming next. Number 1. Role play. Husband right away. You might think of starting a conversation on a dating app with "Hi wife" sounds a bit bold or even cheesy, but trust me, there's a method to this madness. The whole idea behind this approach is to set the tone right away, light-hearted, playful, and just a little unexpected. By jumping straight into husband roleplay, you're planting a seed of familiarity and commitment in her mind. And who doesn't like a bit of romance mixed with humor? First off, you're not some random guy sending a generic "Hey, how's it going?" message like the other 50 dudes in her inbox. You're instantly standing out with a little bit of fun and fantasy. Starting with "Hi wife" sets the stage for something deeper, even though it's just the beginning. Now, the key is to follow up with messages that support the husband-wife fantasy without being overbearing or, creepy. The genius behind this tactic is that it makes the conversation seem more significant than your average getting-to-know-you chat. You're framing the whole interaction as something bigger than just casual dating. Instead of "Hey, let's see where this goes," it becomes "Let's pretend we're already there." It takes the pressure off because it's all in good fun, but it also subconsciously triggers thoughts of a deeper connection. So, don't hesitate to throw in a playful "Hi wife" the next time you're swiping through dating apps. You'll either get a chuckle, which is always a win, Or you might just kick off a conversation that's deeper than what most people are willing to dive into on a first exchange. Either way, you're showing her you're the type of guy who knows how to keep things interesting, and that's something she won't forget. Has anyone here done this trick? Do you think it would work, or do you have any objections? Please discuss in the comments below. We look forward to talking with you. Number 2. Show you're pre-selected when she tests you. So she hit you with the classic, "Oh really?" after you casually asked for a picture, huh? Let's be honest, we've all been there. You ask a perfectly innocent question, and instead of getting the response you expect, she throws a test your way. You could play it straight and stumble into the trap, or, if you want to up your game, you can show her that you've been down this road before. Welcome to the art of showing that you're pre-selected. Here's how it works. When she sends a test like that, she's not just being coy. She's testing to see if you're going to flinch, get defensive, or trip over your words. But instead of walking right into it, why not flip the script and call her out on it in a playful way? When you confidently show that you've seen these tests before and you know how to handle them, you're telling her, without saying it outright, that you're experienced. You've got options and you know what's going on, and that makes you a high-value guy in her eyes. What you're doing here is letting her know that you're not intimidated by her tests. In fact, you're having fun with it. Women love a man who can confidently navigate these little challenges. By not taking her test too seriously and turning it into a light-hearted moment, you're positioning yourself as someone who's both experienced and comfortable in his own skin. She'll pick up on the fact that you're not rattled or desperate for her approval, and that's an attractive quality. Being pre-selected is all about subtly showing her that you have options without coming across as arrogant. It taps into the psychological principle of social proof. If other women are interested in you, it triggers a subconscious response in her that says, well, if they're into him, maybe I should be too. But the key here is not to overdo it. There's a fine line between being confident and coming across as a guy who brags about all the women he's dated. The latter, not a good look. You're secure in who you are, you've been around the block, and you can handle her without losing your cool. That's what separates you from the pack. She'll sense that you're not easily thrown off, and that you've got the confidence of someone who knows he has options. Do you think this makes her think you're overconfident? Share your thoughts below. Number 3. Play the reformed bad boy. There's something almost magnetic about the bad boy image. It's not just the leather jacket or the rebellious streak. It's the aura of mystery and excitement that comes with it. Here's the trick. Casually mention that you're trying to be better, but admit that it's tough. It plays into one of the most common fantasies women have, the desire to fix or nurture a man. And suddenly, you're no longer the guy she's just getting to know. You're a project, a challenge, and believe me, most women can't resist the urge to dive in and help fix what's broken. Think of it like this. You're not coming across as a flawless knight in shining armor. Instead, you're positioning yourself as the knight with a few dents in his armor, but with just enough charm and self-awareness to make her think, I could help him be better. The key here is not to oversell the bad boy image, though. You don't need to regale her with tales of your wild escapades. Instead, focus on subtle hints of your bad boy past, while showing that you're actively trying to move forward. For instance, you could mention how you're trying to make healthier choices, quit old habits, or spend more time on personal growth. Just sprinkle those breadcrumbs for her to follow. Women are naturally drawn to men who show a bit of vulnerability, and by admitting that you're still figuring things out, you're opening the door for her to step in and be part of that process. And here's where it gets interesting, because now she's not just getting to know you, she's emotionally investing in you. You're showing that you know who you are, and you're actively working on becoming a better version of yourself. That's attractive because it's real. No one's perfect, and admitting that can be a powerful move. At the end of the day, the reformed bad boy is about balance. You're edgy, but you're trying. You've got a past, but you're looking toward the future. You're fun, but with a hint of depth. It's the kind of package that keeps her intrigued and wanting more. So go ahead, play up that reformed angle. Just don't forget to flash a bit of that bad boy charm while you're at it. She'll be hooked before she knows it. Enjoying the tips so far? Make sure to give this post a like and don't forget to subscribe for more insights like these. Thank you for your support. Let's keep the conversation going and dive into the next point. Number 4. Create intrigue by delaying responses. In the digital age of instant communication, it's almost expected to respond to messages within minutes, sometimes seconds. But what if you flip the script? Instead of jumping to reply to her texts immediately, you take your time. I'm not talking about ghosting her, no one likes to be ignored, but strategically delaying your responses can be a powerful move that keeps her on her toes. Here's the game plan. When she sends you a message, instead of replying right away, hold off for a bit. Let her curiosity simmer. Then, after a couple of days, swoop in with an apology and a perfect excuse, something like, "Sorry for the late reply, had a crazy weekend." Follow it up with a picture of you looking social, busy, and like you're having the time of your life. The key here is to show that you're not sitting around waiting for her text. You've got a full, exciting life that she'll want to be part of. Now, why does this work? First of all, the delayed response instantly signals that you're not just sitting by your phone. You've got stuff going on. You're not chasing after her like every other guy who's probably blowing up her inbox. When you finally respond, she's left wondering what you've been up to. Was he out with friends? Was he on some wild adventure? The curiosity alone keeps her interested and gives you an air of mystery. The picture is where the real magic happens. You're giving her a peek into your world, showing her that you're social, connected, and in demand. A picture really is worth 1,000 words, and in this case, it's worth more than a simple text response. Whether it's a snap of you at a friend's party, hanging out with a group, or even engaged in a fun activity, the photo subtly communicates, "I'm busy, I have a life, and if you want in, you've got to bring something to the table." And a man! By delaying your response and showing that you've been busy, you're positioning yourself as someone who is of high value. Your time is a limited resource, and you're not handing it out freely. Women tend to be attracted to men who have purpose, who are driven, and who have something going on in their lives. When you show that your life is fulfilling, it sends the message that you don't need her to fill any void. If anything, she'll want to be the one trying to fit into your schedule. However, there's a fine line to walk here. You don't want to come across as rude or uninterested by waiting too long, or ignoring her messages completely. This tactic is about balance. You're creating just enough space for her to wonder what's going on, but not so much that she loses interest. Delaying responses should feel like you're genuinely busy, not like you're playing hard to get for the sake of it. And let's not forget, when you finally respond with a casual apology and an engaging picture, you're also showing off a bit of confidence. It says, "I know you're interested, and I'm worth the wait." This playful nonchalance gives off an energy that's hard to resist. She'll start to see you as a guy who's not only fun and social, but also has his priorities straight, and that's the type of guy women are drawn to. Number 5. Respond to sassy texts with playful dismissiveness. When she throws a little sass your way through text, it might be tempting to either ignore it or take it too seriously. But here's where you can level up the interaction, by responding with playful dismissiveness. Think of it like you're already in a fun, flirty relationship and you've been having mock arguments for ages. This tactic works because it mimics the kind of playful banter couples have after they've known each other for a while. It gives the impression that there's already a comfortable level of intimacy between you two, even if you've only just started talking. By acting like you've been through a few rounds of this before, you're subtly pushing the interaction beyond the getting to know you phase and into something that feels more like an ongoing relationship, one that's already full of inside jokes and mock frustrations. When she sends you a sassy or teasing message, instead of coming back with a straightforward reply, hit her with something like, "You're always like this," or "Here we go again." It's a light jab, the kind of playful teasing that makes her feel like you've already got a unique rhythm between you two. And trust me, it creates this emotional tension that, while seemingly negative on the surface, actually works wonders for building attraction. Why? Because it's a little unexpected. When you respond with playful dismissiveness, it shows that you're not taking her too seriously. You're not tiptoeing around, trying to stay on her good side. This playful indifference keeps her on her toes, wondering if you're genuinely annoyed or just playing along. And, counterintuitively, it increases her desire to engage with you more. There's something irresistible about trying to figure out if you're joking or if she's actually getting under your skin. The beauty of this move is in its subtlety. You're not giving her a ton of information about how you feel. Instead, you're letting her fill in the blanks. She'll start wondering, does he think I'm being difficult? Or is he having fun with this? That uncertainty keeps her hooked, and she'll be even more intrigued by the fact that you're not bending over backward to please her with every text. You're playing the game in a way that makes her want to keep engaging, just to see how you'll respond next. Plus, there's a psychology at work here. When you create tension, even the light kind that comes from playful dismissiveness, it forces her to invest more emotionally. She's now trying to work her way through this mini argument or teasing exchange, and in doing so, she's building more of a connection with you. It's like you're laying the groundwork for deeper interactions without even realizing it. The back and forth banter creates a sense of familiarity, and it's that emotional engagement that makes her feel closer to you. But remember, this only works if you keep it light. The dismissiveness has to be playful, not harsh. The moment you cross the line into actual negativity or sarcasm that feels cutting, you lose the playful aspect and it just becomes rude. So, when she sends you that sassy text, your job is to smile to yourself, throw out that, "Oh, you're always like this," and keep the energy fun and upbeat. Number 6. Provoke playful arguments. Once you've got a connection going, it's time to spice things up a little by doing something completely unexpected. Provoke a playful argument. Yeah, you heard that right. Suggesting that you need an argument because you're bored might sound counterintuitive, but it's a genius way to strengthen your bond and keep things fun and fresh. After all, what's a relationship, real or imagined, without a little bickering, right? Here's how this works. After you've established a bit of rapport, casually drop a line like, "I'm feeling bored. I think we need an argument to make things interesting." She might be caught off guard at first, but that's exactly what you want. It's funny, unexpected, and a surefire way to break out of the monotony of the usual, "So how's your day?" conversations. The beauty of playful arguments is that they create an emotional spark. It's not just another flat conversation where you're exchanging pleasantries. You're injecting energy into the interaction, and that's what keeps people hooked. It also gives her the chance to engage with you on a different level. Instead of trying to be polite or measured in her responses, she can let loose, fire back at you with her own playful retorts, and enjoy the banter. Plus, provoking these faux arguments taps into a very real dynamic in relationships: emotional engagement. Sure, you're both just joking around, but the fact that you're even pretending to argue signals a level of comfort that you don't get with surface-level small talk. It makes her feel like she's already in that relationship zone, where she can tease you, disagree with you, and still come out smiling at the end. The key to making this work, though, is keeping the tone light and playful. You don't want to actually stir up real tension or negativity. So, when you throw out your challenge, keep it silly. Start an argument over the most ridiculous topics, something like, "I'm sorry, but anyone who thinks dogs are better than cats is clearly misguided," or "Don't tell me you put ketchup on your steak, because if you do, we might need to rethink this whole thing." It's absurd, it's harmless, and it's hilarious. When she takes the bait and starts playing along, that's when the magic happens. Now you're not just talking, you're creating a shared experience, something you both laugh about and reference in future conversations. This back and forth banter is what builds chemistry and, quite frankly, makes you stand out. Most guys are too busy being polite or careful, but you're showing her that you can keep things interesting. And let's be real, a playful argument breaks up the monotony of typical conversations. It's a fun little game that shakes things up and keeps her emotionally engaged. She won't get bored because now she's dealing with someone who's not afraid to introduce a little chaos into the mix. You're not just following a script, you're creating a dynamic that's exciting and unpredictable. And the best part? It feels like a sneak peek into what being in a relationship with you could be like: fun, light-hearted, and never dull. Number 7. Assert authority by saying no occasionally. One of the biggest misconceptions in dating is that the way to win someone over is by always saying yes. You know, agreeing to everything, being accommodating, and basically bending over backward to keep the peace. But here's the thing, constantly saying yes doesn't exactly scream confidence or leadership. And let's be honest, women are attracted to men who can take charge and assert themselves. That's where the power of saying no comes into play. Now, I'm not talking about being difficult for the sake of it or rejecting every request just to make a point. No one likes a stubborn, negative guy. The magic happens when you learn to sprinkle in a little well-timed refusal, showing that you've got your own set of values, boundaries, and opinions that you're not afraid to stand by. For example, say she suggests going out for drinks one evening, and instead of immediately agreeing, you respond with something light-hearted but firm. This approach does a couple of powerful things. First, it positions you as a leader in the relationship dynamic. You're not just being dragged along for the ride. You've got your own direction and you're confident in making decisions, even if that means turning down a request. Women often find this quality attractive because it signals maturity, independence, and a sense of responsibility. Saying no in these moments also breaks the pattern of predictability. If she can always count on you to say yes, the dynamic can get stale pretty quickly. By occasionally refusing, you introduce a bit of unpredictability and excitement into the interaction. It shows her that you're not afraid to stand by your principles, even if it might create a little friction. And guess what? That friction is often where attraction grows. It's counterintuitive, but a little resistance can make her see you as more of a challenge, and let's be real, who doesn't love a bit of challenge? The real power in saying no lies in the balance. If you're constantly saying yes, it gives off the vibe that you're eager to please at any cost, and while kindness is a good thing, it can sometimes come across as lacking backbone. When you show that you're comfortable expressing your own opinions and refusing requests in a light-hearted way, you signal that you're someone who values your own time and decisions, and that's attractive. You're showing her that you respect yourself enough to set boundaries and stick to them. Number 8. Subtly display protectiveness. When it comes to attraction, one of the most powerful signals you can send is that you're someone she can feel safe with. Women are instinctively drawn to men who demonstrate protectiveness and awareness. But here's the catch. You've got to show it in a way that's subtle, not overbearing. And that's where small, thoughtful gestures, like checking the navigation during a car ride, even if someone else is driving, come into play. Picture this. You're both in a car, maybe it's a rideshare, or maybe her friend is driving. Instead of just sitting there passively, you casually check the navigation on your phone, even though you're not behind the wheel. It's a small move, but it speaks volumes. You're showing her that you're paying attention, that you're thinking ahead, and most importantly, that her safety matters to you. Now, this might seem like a tiny thing. After all, you're just checking a GPS, right? But here's where it gets interesting. Small actions like this tap into a primal desire many women have for a sense of security. You're not throwing on a superhero cape and saving the day in dramatic fashion. No, you're simply demonstrating that you're aware of your surroundings, you're looking out for potential issues, and you're being proactive. That quiet, steady protectiveness? It's a deeply attractive trait that often flies under the radar. What's key here is the subtlety. You're not loudly declaring, "I'm here to protect you," or making a big show of your concern. Instead, you're letting your actions speak for themselves, and it makes a bigger impact because of how natural it feels. This kind of protectiveness doesn't feel forced or performative. It feels genuine. You're simply the kind of guy who looks out for the people he's with, and that's something she'll pick up on without you having to spell it out. And let's talk about why this works. Women tend to be drawn to men who exude a sense of calm and control in uncertain situations. By checking the navigation or subtly making sure everything is in order, you're showing her that you're someone who takes responsibility for the situation even when you're not in the driver's seat. You're positioning yourself as someone who can be relied on, someone who doesn't just leave things to chance. And that's a key masculine trait, being someone who others can lean on when things get unpredictable. The idea is to show that you're aware and mindful in a way that makes her feel secure, without ever feeling smothered. And when you show her, even in small ways, that you've got her back, she's going to feel more comfortable and more attracted to you. Number 9. Show abundance by overbuying. It's no secret that one of the most attractive traits in a man is his ability to provide. And no, that doesn't mean you have to rent a yacht or rain dollar bills from the sky. The art of demonstrating abundance can be far more subtle and more impactful when done right. One of the simplest ways to show off your resources and generosity is by overbuying in casual situations, like when you're grabbing food together. Trust me, that extra scoop of ice cream? It's doing more than just satisfying a sweet tooth. Here's how it works. You're out grabbing a snack together, maybe at a coffee shop or an ice cream stand. When it's your turn to order, don't just buy exactly what you need. Get a little extra, whether it's an additional side of fries, a larger coffee than usual, or even an extra scoop of her favorite flavor. You're not going overboard, just casually showing that you're not afraid to indulge or share a bit more than necessary. Why does this work? On a subconscious level, women are wired to notice signs of abundance and generosity. When you overbuy, you're sending subtle signals that you're someone who has more than enough to go around. You're not calculating every purchase down to the last cent, and you're definitely not scrimping. You're showing her that you're comfortable and capable of providing for more than just yourself, without ever saying it outright. And it's that quiet confidence in your ability to offer abundance that sticks. This doesn't mean you have to make a big show of your spending. In fact, the beauty of this technique lies in its casualness. You're not flaunting your resources. You're simply acting as though getting a little extra is no big deal. Maybe you order an extra dessert and say something like, "I wasn't sure which one you'd like, so I got both." It's thoughtful, it's generous, and most importantly, it doesn't come across as if you're trying too hard to impress. This act of abundance isn't about wasting money or going over the top. It's about the principle of offering more than is necessary, of showing that you're not worried about running out. In many ways, it communicates that you're a guy who has options in life, and those options aren't limited to just financial resources. You're showcasing an attitude of abundance, whether that's with your time, energy, or affection. Think about it. If you're constantly calculating or being stingy, it sends the opposite message. It makes you look like you're holding back, or that you're struggling to make ends meet. On the flip side, when you're carefree and confident enough to buy a little extra, you're demonstrating that you live with an abundance mindset. That's something women notice because it suggests stability, generosity, and a sense of security. And let's be honest, those are some of the most attractive qualities in a partner. Of course, there's a balance here. You don't need to go overboard or buy unnecessary things all the time. This move works best when it's occasional, just enough to show her that you can be generous without making it a routine. If you're buying an extra pint of ice cream every single time, it could lose its charm, but when done sparingly, it becomes a memorable and appreciated gesture that stands out. Number 10. Post candid social media photos. In the world of modern dating, social media can be your secret weapon if you know how to play it right. Sure, selfies and posed pictures have their place, but if you want to take your game to the next level, it's all about mastering the art of the candid photo. That's right, those pictures that seem spontaneous and unplanned but are actually perfectly orchestrated. The goal? To look like you're living your best life, effortlessly, while subtly catching her eye. Here's the trick. Instead of posting photos where it's obvious that you've spent 10 minutes finding the right angle or flexing in front of the mirror, opt for photos that look like someone else snapped them when you weren't even paying attention. Have a friend take pictures while you're engaged in a fun activity, whether that's hiking, laughing at a party, or even just hanging out at a casual dinner. The key is to make it seem like you're not trying too hard. You're just naturally out there enjoying life, and someone just happened to capture that perfect moment. Why is this so effective? First off, candid photos have a way of making you appear more authentic and relatable. Women can spot a try-hard from a mile away, and let's be real, no one wants to date someone who's constantly seeking validation from likes and comments. When your photos come off as genuine and spontaneous, It shows that you're comfortable in your own skin and not overly concerned with how people perceive you online. You're just living your life, and that level of confidence is incredibly attractive. Candid shots also create an air of mystery. They're not perfectly staged or posed, which leaves a bit of room for interpretation. She'll be curious about what you were doing, who you were with, and why you were having such a great time. It's a subtle way of showcasing that you've got an active social life and that your world is filled with excitement and experiences, things she might want to be a part of. Here's the psychological twist. People are naturally drawn to others who seem like they're already living a full, satisfying life. By posting candid, social photos, you're sending the message that you don't need anyone else to complete your world, but you'd be open to sharing it with the right person. It's that balance between being independent and inviting that hooks people in. You're not just sitting around waiting for validation, and that's a powerful attraction factor. When done right, these types of photos can even increase your desirability as a potential partner. Think about it. If all your pictures are of you alone or in overly staged settings, it sends a signal that you're maybe trying a little too hard to prove something. But when you're surrounded by friends, enjoying yourself in a natural, carefree way, it tells her that you're social, fun, and someone who knows how to have a good time without needing constant attention. It creates the vibe of a well-rounded, engaging life, one that anyone would be lucky to be a part of. Do women really find 80% of men unattractive? In 2024, more and more women are choosing not to date or get married. This is gradually becoming a trend, not only in the US, but also in several developed countries around the world. What has caused this situation? Is the world becoming too advanced, leading women to lose faith in sincerity? Or has something happened that makes women feel men are no longer appealing? The rise of dating apps has undeniably revolutionized how people connect romantically. With just a swipe, a vast pool of potential partners is readily available, defying geographical limitations and offering unparalleled convenience. However, this ease of access has also brought about new complexities, particularly regarding perceptions of attractiveness and the formation of romantic connections. A recent study, revealing that women on a popular dating app rated 80% of men as below average in attractiveness, has sparked intense debate and introspection about the nature of attraction in the digital age. This finding, while shocking to some, opens a dialogue on several intertwined factors contributing to this phenomenon, moving beyond simple judgments of appearance to explore the multifaceted reality of dating app dynamics. Unraveling the 80% unattractive claim, a multifaceted perspective. Attributing such a bold claim solely to a perceived lack of attractiveness among men would be an oversimplification, ignoring the intricate interplay of societal expectations, gender roles, and the inherent limitations of online platforms. Examining this phenomenon requires addressing several key areas: the illusion of abundance and the paradox of choice. In today's digital age, dating apps offer users a seemingly endless supply of potential matches. With just a swipe, individuals can browse through countless profiles, each presenting a new opportunity for connection. This abundance of choice has redefined how we approach dating, creating an illusion that there is always someone better just around the corner. However, this seemingly endless variety, while initially exciting, comes with a downside: the paradox of choice. The idea behind the paradox of choice is simple. The more options we have, the harder it becomes to make a decision, and the less satisfied we are with the decisions we do make. When it comes to dating apps, users are constantly exposed to hundreds of potential partners. At first, this abundance might seem like a blessing. More choices should mean a better chance of finding the perfect match, right? Unfortunately, that's not always how it works out. Instead of helping users find someone, this abundance can lead to something called choice overload. Faced with an overwhelming number of options, people often experience decision fatigue. It becomes difficult to commit to any one option when you are always thinking that the next person might be a better fit. This mindset can make it nearly impossible to feel satisfied with a choice, as there's a persistent belief that something better might be just a swipe away. This abundance also changes the way we evaluate potential partners. Instead of viewing each profile as a unique individual, users often become more critical and discerning, looking for small flaws or reasons to keep swiping. A profile that might have seemed interesting at first glance can be easily passed over in the hope of finding someone with fewer perceived imperfections. In the pursuit of the perfect match, users become desensitized and the novelty of each new profile quickly wears off. The result is a dating culture where people are less willing to commit and more focused on maximizing their options, even if it leads to frustration in the long run. Furthermore, the illusion of abundance fosters unrealistic expectations. With so many profiles at our fingertips, it's easy to believe that a perfect match, someone who meets all of our criteria, is out there waiting. This creates a cycle of endless searching where no one is ever good enough, and settling down feels like settling for less. In reality, no one is perfect, and relationships require compromise, but dating apps encourage a mindset that there's always someone better just a few swipes away. In essence, dating apps operate on a principle of abundant choice that, while enticing at first, often leads to disappointment. The paradox of choice creates an environment where it's harder to commit and easier to become overly critical. Users can become stuck in a cycle of endless swiping, chasing an illusion of perfection that may never materialize. Ultimately, while dating apps promise to expand the pool of potential partners, they can also make it more difficult to find lasting, meaningful connections. In the quest for the perfect match, we risk losing sight of the genuine connections that might already be within reach. Visual-centric platforms and the prioritization of physical appearance. In the world of online dating, first impressions are everything, and dating apps are built to capitalize on this fact. These platforms prioritize visual cues, placing a strong emphasis on physical appearance. With users swiping left or right based on a curated selection of photos and a brief bio, the focus on looks has never been more prominent in the dating landscape. While this can create an initial spark, it also brings with it a host of challenges, including a disconnect between online perception and real-life attractiveness. Dating apps are inherently visual-centric, meaning the first thing you notice about a potential match is their appearance. In many cases, users don't even read bios until they've decided whether they're physically attracted to the person. This leads to a culture where physical attractiveness becomes the primary currency. Users are judged, liked, or passed over based on how well they've curated their photos, which may or may not reflect who they are in real life. One key issue with this is the potential for a disconnect between how someone appears online and how they come across in person. Filters, lighting, angles, and photo editing apps allow people to enhance or modify their looks, sometimes presenting a version of themselves that is far removed from reality. This creates a situation where people's real-life attractiveness may not live up to the expectations set by their online profiles. For some, this leads to disappointment and frustration when meeting face-to-face, making it harder to form genuine connections. Men, in particular, often face challenges in adapting to this visual-centric platform. Social norms have historically conditioned men to prioritize physical prowess over aesthetic refinement. While physical fitness and strength have been emphasized, the idea of spending time on one's appearance, choosing flattering photos, finding good lighting, or selecting the right outfits, is not as deeply ingrained in male socialization. As a result, many men may struggle with creating profiles that present them in the most attractive light. In contrast, women are often socialized to invest significant time and effort into their appearance, from makeup and hair to carefully curated outfits, and this mindset tends to extend into the world of online dating. This discrepancy in how men and women present themselves online may contribute to the perceived disparity in attractiveness between the genders on dating apps. Women, who are generally more practiced at highlighting their aesthetic appeal, may appear more attractive online compared to men, whose profiles often come off as less polished or visually appealing. As a result, men may find themselves at a disadvantage, particularly on platforms where initial decisions are based almost entirely on visual cues. The emphasis on physical appearance in dating apps also reinforces unrealistic standards of beauty. Users are constantly comparing themselves to the polished, filtered versions of others, which can lead to feelings of inadequacy or insecurity. The pressure to present an idealized version of oneself can be exhausting and may contribute to a superficial dating culture where true connection is often overlooked in favor of fleeting attraction. Visual-centric platforms like dating apps have reshaped how we form first impressions, placing physical appearance at the forefront of attraction. While this approach can generate initial interest, it also fosters a disconnect between online perception and real-life attractiveness, particularly for men who may not be as adept at curating flattering profiles. Ultimately, this prioritization of appearance can contribute to a more superficial dating experience, where genuine connections are harder to come by amid the quest for visual perfection. The subjectivity of attraction and the diversity of preferences. Attraction is a deeply subjective experience, shaped by a myriad of influences, including cultural background, personal experiences, and individual tastes. What one person finds irresistible may be completely overlooked by someone else, and this is the beauty of human connection. Each person's preferences are uniquely their own. In the world of dating, especially through dating apps, this subjectivity becomes more pronounced as users navigate an environment that promises diverse options. However, while dating apps offer a wide array of potential matches, they can also inadvertently promote a homogenization of desirable traits based on popular trends and societal standards. Attractiveness is never a one-size-fits-all concept. It can be influenced by factors as diverse as someone's sense of humor, their kindness, or even the way they carry themselves. Cultural background plays a significant role as well. What is considered attractive in one culture may not have the same appeal in another. For example, standards of beauty can vary widely across different societies, with some valuing certain physical features that others may not prioritize. Beyond culture, personal experiences also shape what we find attractive. A person who had a particularly strong connection with someone who was witty and charismatic may place a higher value on humor and personality over traditional standards of beauty. Despite this diversity of attraction, dating apps can sometimes promote a more limited view of what is considered desirable. The algorithms used by these platforms are often designed to showcase profiles that align with popular trends and societal standards. As a result, users may find themselves being shown similar types of people repeatedly, leading to the perception that there's a uniform mold of attractiveness that everyone should aspire to. For instance, certain physical traits like specific body types, hairstyles, or facial features may become disproportionately emphasized due to their prevalence in popular media or social trends. This homogenization of desirable traits can lead to a narrowing of preferences, where users might unintentionally overlook potential partners who don't fit the popular mold. Even if someone possesses qualities that are deeply attractive, like intelligence, empathy, or a unique sense of style, they might be passed over because they don't meet the standardized criteria that dating apps seem to highlight. In this sense, the focus shifts from recognizing individual differences and appreciating a wide range of attractiveness to a more streamlined view of what people should look like or act like to be considered attractive. Another consequence of this homogenization is that users may start to doubt their own preferences, questioning whether their attractions are valid if they don't align with the majority. This can lead to a kind of conformity where people begin to pursue certain traits or appearances simply because they are popular, not necessarily because they resonate with their personal sense of attraction. While dating apps offer a wide pool of potential matches, their design can unintentionally reinforce narrow standards of beauty, leading users to overlook people who may be a great match but don't fit into the predetermined mold. Attraction is inherently diverse and subjective, and no algorithm can fully capture the complex array of qualities that make someone appealing. To truly connect with others, it's important to remember that what one person finds attractive may not resonate with another, and that's perfectly okay. Expanding our understanding of what it means to be desirable can open the door to more meaningful connections that go beyond surface-level traits. The role of filters, editing, and the distortion of reality in online dating. In today's digital world, filters, editing apps, and curated online personas have become pervasive tools for shaping how people present themselves, particularly in the realm of online dating. These tools offer the ability to enhance physical features, smooth out imperfections, and create a version of oneself that may not fully align with reality. While this practice impacts both men and women, the societal pressures around beauty standards mean that the effects are often felt more acutely by women. This culture of editing and filtering can lead to unrealistic beauty standards, fostering a disconnect between online presentation and real-life appearance. Ultimately, this disparity can result in disappointment and a perceived lack of attractiveness when face-to-face encounters fall short of the idealized images portrayed online. The widespread use of filters and editing apps allows individuals to tweak their appearances in various ways. A simple swipe of a filter can brighten skin tones, enhance facial features, and even reshape body proportions. While men may use these tools to emphasize certain features such as enhancing muscle definition or jawline sharpness, the pressure to conform to traditional beauty standards is often more intense for women. Women are frequently expected to meet certain ideals, whether it be flawless skin, a perfect body, or a youthful appearance, and these expectations are reinforced by media, advertising, and social norms. As a result, women may engage with editing apps more extensively, carefully constructing their online personas to align with these unrealistic beauty standards. This reliance on filters and editing tools has led to a culture where online personas are often far removed from reality. The images presented on dating profiles are frequently not a true reflection of what individuals look like in their everyday lives. Instead, they are polished and perfected representations, designed to attract attention and generate interest. While this might lead to more matches or positive interactions online, it can also create a gap between how people are perceived online and how they appear in person. When online interactions progress to in-person encounters, the disparity between these idealized images and real-life appearance can cause disappointment. What seemed attractive or appealing online may not translate the same way in reality, leading to a perceived lack of attractiveness. For example, if someone's profile photos have been heavily filtered to smooth out skin imperfections or enhance certain features, their real-life appearance may fall short of the expectations created by their online images. This can undermine the potential for genuine connection, as people may feel deceived or let down by the difference between the online persona and the real individual. Moreover, this culture of editing and filtering exacerbates issues related to self-esteem and body image. Constant exposure to polished, idealized images can lead individuals to feel inadequate or less attractive in comparison. For both men and women, this can create pressure to conform to these unrealistic standards, further fueling the cycle of using editing tools to present an idealized version of oneself. This cycle not only distorts reality but also impacts how people engage with others, as they may prioritize creating a perfect online appearance over being authentic and genuine. While men and women both engage with these tools, societal pressures often place a heavier burden on women to conform to specific beauty ideals. This results in a disparity between online presentation and real-life appearance, leading to disappointment in offline encounters. The obsession with creating a flawless online persona can hinder the development of meaningful connections, as individuals struggle to reconcile the difference between virtual and real-life attractiveness. Ultimately, this culture of distortion impacts not only how people view themselves, but also how they relate to others in the digital age. The rapid growth of social media and dating apps makes it seem like people find it harder to believe in real connections. It's just typing, anyone can do that. It's just swiping left or right, anyone can do that too. This makes women increasingly cautious to the point where they don't even believe in what's called love anymore. Men, in their eyes, have become less attractive because they think all men are the same, just people hiding behind a keyboard looking for love with the mentality of just for fun. Dating apps have drastically changed how people meet potential partners, offering a seemingly endless stream of possibilities right at our fingertips. But while this digital convenience brings more options, it has also had a profound impact on how relationships are perceived and valued. With the gamified nature of these platforms, where swiping becomes second nature, a sense of detachment has emerged, turning relationships into fleeting encounters. The ease of browsing through profiles paired with the fear that you might be missing out on something better has led to a noticeable devaluation of genuine connections. The lure of immediate gratification often overshadows the slow, meaningful development of deeper bonds, where things like shared values, emotional intimacy, and intellectual compatibility become far more important than looks alone. The swipe feature, one of the most prominent aspects of dating apps, transforms dating into a sort of game. You see a face, make a split-second decision, and swipe accordingly. This simplicity fosters a mindset where dating becomes less about building a connection and more about seeing how many potential matches you can accumulate. The very design encourages people to view each interaction as disposable, focusing more on quantity than quality. The act of swiping through countless profiles can lead to users seeing people as just another option in an endless lineup, rather than as potential partners worthy of emotional investment. Then, there's the constant presence of the next one. With every swipe, you could potentially meet someone better, someone who ticks just one more box than the last person did. This fear of missing out, or FOMO, fuels a reluctance to commit, even when you come across someone with whom you share a real connection. There's always the nagging thought that someone even more compatible is just a swipe away. This mentality can stifle the potential for deep, meaningful relationships, as users keep their options open and resist the vulnerability that comes with committing to one person. Casual encounters have become a major part of the dating app experience, largely because of the way these platforms are structured. The ease and abundance of choice mean that many users treat these apps as a way to find short-term flings rather than long-term relationships. The focus is often on instant gratification, whether that's a hookup or a fun, temporary fling, rather than laying the foundation for something lasting. As a result, the deeper aspects of relationships like emotional closeness and intellectual compatibility take a back seat. When the focus is primarily on physical attraction and short-term satisfaction, the qualities that truly sustain a relationship, like mutual respect, shared values, and emotional support, get overlooked. Yes, physical attraction might draw people in at first, but it's those deeper elements that matter over time. Unfortunately, the constant rush for new and exciting matches leaves little room for these traits to emerge, and the potential for a meaningful connection often fades away before it even begins. This has contributed to a dating culture that often feels more transactional than genuine. People can easily move from one match to the next, treating each encounter as a short-term experience rather than an opportunity to build something real. The gamified nature of dating apps combined with the abundance of choices has made it easy to replace relationships with a swipe, reinforcing the idea that people are disposable. This devaluation of connection stands in stark contrast to the qualities that make relationships truly fulfilling. The focus on instant gratification, the fear of missing out, and the emphasis on casual encounters have all contributed to a culture where relationships are treated as temporary and meaningful bonds are harder to come by. To create deeper, more meaningful connections, a shift in perspective is needed, one that values emotional depth, intellectual connection, and the vulnerability of true partnership over the thrill of a quick match. So, gentlemen, what should we do now? Recalibrating perspectives, shifting focus from superficiality to substance in the world of digital dating. In the fast-paced world of dating apps, where the next potential match is just a swipe away, the emphasis on physical appearance and first impressions has taken center stage. The claim that 80% of people are unattractive may seem disheartening, but when we delve deeper into the complexities of online dating, it becomes clear that this perception stems from a set of skewed priorities. The truth is, attractiveness is subjective and multi-layered, extending beyond physical appearance to encompass shared values, personality, and emotional connection. By recalibrating our perspectives and shifting focus from superficiality to substance, we can foster more meaningful, genuine connections within the digital dating landscape. Understanding the root of the 80% unattractive perception. The 80% unattractive statistic, often cited in discussions about online dating, is less a reflection of reality and more a result of how dating apps are designed to function. These platforms rely heavily on visual appeal, encouraging users to make split-second judgments based primarily on photos. With the constant bombardment of curated images, users are conditioned to rate profiles with a hypercritical eye. This, coupled with the sheer volume of potential matches available, can make people feel like they have an endless supply of options, leading to a mentality of seeking the best and inadvertently devaluing those who don't meet specific, often unattainable beauty standards. However, attractiveness is not a static quality. It varies from person to person and culture to culture. What one person finds attractive may not resonate with another. Unfortunately, dating apps often push users to conform to a narrow definition of beauty, promoting societal standards that prioritize physical appearance over substance. This phenomenon has led to a superficial dating culture where physical attraction is often emphasized at the expense of deeper qualities like personality, shared values, and emotional compatibility. Cultivating authenticity and embracing individuality. One of the most crucial steps in recalibrating our approach to online dating is cultivating authenticity. In a world where filters, editing apps, and curated personas dominate, it's easy to get lost in the pressure to present an idealized version of ourselves. Both men and women are often influenced by societal pressures to conform to specific beauty ideals, which can lead to a gap between online presentation and reality. This gap becomes evident when face-to-face encounters fail to live up to the expectations set by filtered photos and curated profiles. For men, who may not be as socially conditioned to focus on aesthetic refinement, creating an attractive online profile can feel like a daunting task. On the other hand, women, who often face greater societal pressure to look a certain way, may invest more time in carefully constructing their online personas, sometimes at the expense of authenticity. This can create a disconnect between how people present themselves online and how they appear in real life, which in turn leads to disappointment when initial online attraction doesn't translate into a real-world connection. To foster more genuine interactions, it's essential to encourage authenticity in online dating profiles. Rather than relying on filters or edited photos, individuals should feel empowered to present their real selves. This means using photos that reflect how they look in everyday life, and writing bios that highlight their true interests, values, and personalities. By embracing individuality and moving beyond the pressure to conform to societal beauty standards, users can create profiles that attract others based on genuine connection rather than superficial appeal. Focusing on shared values and genuine compatibility. Physical attraction may spark initial interest, but lasting relationships are built on much more than just appearances. One of the most significant shifts that can occur in the digital dating realm is a move away from prioritizing physical attributes toward focusing on shared values and genuine compatibility. While it's natural to be drawn to someone's appearance, it's the deeper aspects of a person, such as their beliefs, personality, and interests, that ultimately determine whether a relationship will thrive. Online dating platforms often prioritize the visual, which can make it easy to overlook qualities that matter more in the long term. However, meaningful relationships are built on a foundation of shared experiences, intellectual connection, and emotional support. By shifting the focus from appearance to these deeper qualities, users can form more fulfilling relationships that are based on mutual respect and understanding. One way to encourage this shift is by emphasizing thoughtful communication in the online dating process. Rather than rushing through profiles based solely on appearance, users should take the time to read bios, engage in meaningful conversations, and explore shared interests. By focusing on the substance behind the profile, individuals can form connections that are based on more than just surface-level attraction. This approach not only fosters deeper relationships, but also reduces the pressure to conform to narrow beauty standards. Encouraging meaningful interactions and conscious dating practices. Dating apps, by their very design, promote a culture of rapid, disposable interactions. The ease of swiping through profiles, combined with the allure of endless options, can lead to a superficial approach to dating, where users prioritize quantity over quality. This gamified approach to dating creates an environment where meaningful connections are often overshadowed by the thrill of finding the next match. To counteract this trend, it's important to promote conscious dating practices that encourage users to slow down and engage with the process more thoughtfully. Conscious dating involves being intentional about how we interact with potential matches, prioritizing meaningful conversations over mindless swiping, and focusing on quality interactions rather than sheer numbers. This shift in mindset can lead to deeper, more genuine connections and help combat the disposability that often defines online dating culture. By engaging in conscious dating, individuals can foster more thoughtful interactions that go beyond physical attraction. This means being present in conversations, asking meaningful questions, and taking the time to get to know the person behind the profile. Conscious dating also encourages users to approach each interaction with an open mind, recognizing that true compatibility may not always align with initial physical impressions. Recognizing the limitations of online platforms and seeking real-world connections. While dating apps offer a convenient way to meet new people, it's essential to recognize their limitations. These platforms are merely tools for facilitating connections, not the sole avenue for finding love. The digital realm, while useful for initial introductions, should not be viewed as a replacement for real-world interactions. Online dating often creates a narrow, curated experience that lacks the spontaneity and depth of real-life encounters. Meeting people in person allows for a fuller understanding of their personality, body language, and energy, qualities that are difficult to capture through a screen. By expanding social circles, pursuing personal passions, and engaging in activities outside the digital space, individuals can create more organic opportunities to meet potential partners. Real-world connections also provide a more balanced perspective on attraction. In person, people are often drawn to qualities like humor, kindness, and intelligence, which may not be immediately apparent in a static online profile. By embracing opportunities for real-life interaction, individuals can break free from the superficiality that often defines online dating and form connections based on genuine compatibility. In an era where dating apps often prioritize physical appearance and rapid interaction, it's easy to feel disheartened by the state of modern relationships. However, by recalibrating our perspectives and shifting focus from superficiality to substance, we can foster more meaningful, lasting connections. Cultivating authenticity, emphasizing shared values, and promoting conscious dating practices are all steps toward reclaiming the depth and richness of real relationships. Now I'm going to reveal to you dark psychology tricks to make any woman love you. Gentlemen, pay close attention.